Do you want a redesigned search tool? A re-engineered window snapper? And an intuitive color picker at your disposal? Stick around for the whole video and I'll show you how you can get all of these tools for yourself. Hey guys, it's the Technetic, and today I'll be introducing you to a new tool that can really maximize your usage of your computer, called PowerToys. You get this whole suite of tools that you can use to maximize the usage of your PC, such as a redesigned window layout tool, a new file explorer preview, a redesigned search tool, and much more. But before we get into it, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and drop a comment down below on what you want my next video to be on. Trust me, it really helps. To get PowerToys, just go to your search engine, type in PowerToys Microsoft. The first link should bring you to github.com. This is like a coding hosting tool where you can download some really cool apps for your PC. So you see to this PowerToys, you want to head over to the releases section. So you want to go to the latest release. As of this video, the latest release is version 0.25.0. So to get that, you have to go over here. You want to click on this button. That'll get you to the installer. I don't have to walk you through it because it's very straightforward and you'll be able to have PowerToys installed on your machine. With PowerToys installed on your machine, we can access our settings by going to your toolbar. Go to this. It'll look like a rainbow screen with 3 buttons. See, if I hover over it says PowerToys version 25. So you want to click on that and that will greet you with this window. So in this general, you can choose some pretty general settings that can really make a difference on your tools. For example, you can run as administrator. My recommendation is to keep this on at all times because some apps require administrator access and it won't work with apps that have administrator. Like for example, if you have like a command prompt window open that has administrator access, you won't be able to manipulate it with PowerToys. So a big recommendation to have this turned on. For appearance, you can choose what color you want it to be. I'm personally a fan of the dark mode, but you can switch to light or the Windows default. Well, it's defaulting to black because in my settings, I have it defaulted to black. And just as a side note, if you want to change your default, just go to your keyboard, Windows key I. You want to go to personalization. You want to go to, I believe it's colors. So choose your color. You can choose, I have mine on dark, so that's why everything has a dark feel. So with that out of the way, you can choose this to have this run at startup. Personally, I use all of these tools at a regular basis, so I keep this on. But you just do what you want. If you want this to run at all times, then feel free to leave that to turn that on. But if you don't want that hogging up your system resources, just turn that off. So now we can get access to all of our tools. If we notice here, there is a color picker tool. If you saw in my last clip, there is a way that if we hit this certain combination, Windows Shift C, you'll get this color picker tool. So as you can see, I have this orangish background. So if you look on the right side, this will give the hex code for where my mouse is at. So for example, if I hover this over my blue skin I have, you can see there. By the way, if you want the skin, I have a card up below for how to skin your computer. So if you noticed, if I have my mouse over here, it changes colors instantly, which is pretty cool. So yeah, and you can always, and the best part is, go back, it gives you the hex code for it. For example, if you're in a designer software and there's like the specific code that you really like on your desktop, you have the hex code at your disposal, which can be very useful for designers. Our next tool will be Fancy Zones, which is pretty much our window minimizing tool. So to actually customize the arrangements, we can click on Launch Zone Editor, or for utilities, you can do Windows plus reverse quotation or whatever. But just for easy access, we'll click on this button right here. So now you'll see this new window. Choose your layout for this desktop. You can choose, so these are some templates that PowerToys has already for you. For instance, focus, which will kind of read it in this way. Columns, just a standard 3x3. Rows, a grid, and a priority grid, so what you're most prioritizing can be in the middle. You can go to a custom, excuse me for that. You can create new custom. You can click on edit selected layout, and you can add as many zones as you want and position them however you like. For example, I'll just create this demo one. So if you see here I have zone 1. You can resize this to whatever you want. So for example, let's say if I'm watching YouTube and I'm doing some work, I can have my work here on this pane. I can have my YouTube open here. I can have this kind of minimized, and if I'm looking at some reference, I can always just put this here. You can arrange this in any way that you want, but I'm just putting it this way. I'm just going to call this Technetic Test. So now when I hit so let me test this out. So as you can see, I have this checked. Hold shift key to activate zones while dragging. So I will drag this around. If I hit my keyboard and hold shift, I'll get this window. Well, one more thing that I forgot to mention. To apply this thing, you want to go back to your zone editor, and you want to select this. So now when you hold shift, you'll get that option. So for example, I can drag this to 1. Okay, sometimes I can use some any other software. I can open up the Microsoft Store, because why not? I can hold shift and put that there. So I like this tool. It's pretty handy for some software that you like to work with. To further test the preview pane, I have my File Explorer window open and ready to use. So now you see that these are on. To actually see our before and after results, I'm going to disable both of these, and now we'll see what we get as a preview pane. To activate the preview pane, you want to click on this button or hit Alt-P. So now with our preview pane, if we click on our markdown file, it says no preview available. If we click on the emoticons, we'll get a preview, but it's not from built-in. It's actually using an app that I have on my PC. But now we'll go and turn on our files. If we go back here, now we'll see what results we'll get. If we go to PowerToys, we actually have a result generated. As you can see, I already created one of my own just for testing, and I don't even know why I added this So you can see it brings in both the formatting, italicizing, so that's a really cool built-in feature. And if we go to our emoticons, this vector, you can see that it's much blown up and it's not using the app's built-in reader, but instead of PowerToys. You can tune this to however you like. Personally, I don't like the vector one. I personally prefer the Photoshop one, so I'm just going to turn that off. But I find it very handy that you have the markdown source file ready for you. So now it's turned off. So you can experiment this however you like and fine-tune these settings to your own preferences. Next up on our list for PowerToys tools is the Image Resizer. As you can see, I've already added a custom of my own, but to add customs of your choice, you just click on Add Size and you get your option. But I'm going to delete that for now. So I have some 2 images that we can use to test out our test. So we can go here. Okay, let me select this. And if we navigate, we can click on, if I can find it, let's see, resize pictures. You see this. So you want to click on resize pictures, and then you'll get this image picker. So I create a test, so we're going to click on this. So we can do smaller, not larger, whatever. I'm just going to keep this the same. Test, we can resize this. So now we have this new thing called download test. Okay, so as you can see, this is the original image. So that's our first one. If we check out the properties of this selected image, we can see that the original size is 222 by 227. But if we open this, it's the same image, but the quality has degraded a bit. So now if we go to properties, we get the size that we specified over here. So that tool is pretty cool that I personally like. So yeah. So now we can go on to our next one. Next up on our list is the keyboard manager. What this will let us do is it can remap a key of some sort. So for example, you could make a key do another action. Like for example, if I press Z, it could do F21 or something like that. The possibilities are infinite. So let's test that out. If we go to remap, we can see that key, we can go here, I can just type in anything. So for example, if I press the letter, let's use a key that I don't use often, just for the sake of it. I got it. Backslash. So that's our desired key, backslash. So we want this to do 1. So we want to do OK. Okay, continue anyway. So now if I go here, if I'm pressing Z, it's doing 1. I swear I'm hitting the backslash. Trust me on that. And I hit 1, it would just do the same thing. So I'm not actually going to use this anymore. So I'm going to trash that. The same thing applies to shortcuts, for instance. Like for example, if I want Control Z to act as pasting, normally pasting would be Control V, but this time I'm going to mess these two around. So for instance, if I do Control C, I want that to do Control V, but here I won't do Control V. So now all these actions are been inversed. So to copy something, I would do Control V, and to paste something, I do Control C, which I find is pretty cool as a prank, or just for productivity. Next up on the tools is PowerRename. As the description suggests, it's an easier way to bulk rename multiple files. A good way to test this out is, if we go here, download and download to, we can select these two, and now if we right click, we can see PowerRename. So now you can search for a certain specific keyword that you want to replace. So for example, the common word that is in there is download. So now I can replace that with memes. So now what it'll do here is it will replace the word download with memes. So now with all these options, we'll just leave them as basic, just making it basic. Click on rename. And now within an instant, these two will be renamed. See? Instead of download, and now it's name, memes. And it bulk renamed it. So that's pretty interesting. Next up on the list is called PowerToys Run. If you recall from the intro clip, if you hit Alt space, you get this spotlight resembling search utility. So by default, this shortcut is Alt space. I prefer Control space because Alt space is pretty unintuitive, and that shortcut may disagree with some other apps you're using. But if you are confident and you want to stick with Alt space, feel free to stick with that. But for now, I'm going to stick with Control space. Here you can choose the colors you want. I like dark. You can choose the maximum number of results. I like 5 just to keep my options open. You have this whole suite of settings that you can choose however you want. Finally on our list is the shortcut guide. So as you can see, if you hold the Windows key on your PC, you can see that you get greeted with this tool. So when you hold Windows, it'll tell you what you can do by holding Windows. Like for example, if we want to open Action Center, for example, we could do Windows key A, and we get our Action Center. But if we want to open another thing, such as, let's look for a pretty cool one. Temporarily peek at the desktop. So we do Windows key, comma, which gives us a peek at the desktop, which is pretty cool. So if I let go, I think I have to, yeah. So now then, with this tool, you have a whole access. I found this pretty cool because it also works with your taskbar. For instance, if I hit Windows key, let's see, a good one would be, for now, let's just do Windows key 2, for example. It'll open File Explorer. So I found this to be pretty intuitive, and for beginners who don't know their shortcuts, this can be pretty useful. But for settings, you have this whole utility to change it however you like. As you can see, the default is 9 seconds. That is a lot. I find that to be pretty unintuitive, and that can take a long time. So for this, I just prefer, 2 seconds. It's fast and easy. So now when I hold it for 2 seconds, it comes up much faster. And also, I'm not a fan of the light mode, so just real quick, I'm going to switch it to dark. And now when you hold it, much more beautiful for me. So, yep, that sums up just about all the things you can do with PowerToys. If you guys liked the video, subscribing to my channel would mean the world to me. I post weekly content that you guys will love, and if there is something specific in mind that you want me to make a video about, say something in the comments. It really helps me out. So, yeah, I think that just sums about all the things you can do with PowerToys. And do you know what's the best part? This is open source. So what that means is you can experiment this with all on your own. So you could go to the GitHub page and download the code. If you're an experienced coder, you can just mess around with the code and add some features of your own. Like for example, you could probably mod PowerToys and add another feature. That'd be really cool. And Microsoft is always working really hard to add more features. So this, as of recording this video, these are all the features that are currently available, but soon there'll be a lot more, like a whole suite. So that's pretty cool. I find that really cool. So yeah. So that just sums about everything in this video. So I'll see you on the next one, guys.
We only gonna turn the party out.